Your body, right now, is secretly running software written by jellyfish, fish, and ancient viruses. This isn't some poetic license, it's a literal biological truth that underpins our very existence, and it's far stranger than we often imagine. Tonight, we're diving deep into these unexpected legacies, uncovering how evolution has meticulously layered ancient blueprints and surprising adaptations to create the complex tapestry of life we see today. Mia, it seems our own biology is a living museum of evolutionary history.
It truly is, Finn. One of the most compelling examples of this ancient programming is the brief appearance of a tail in human embryos. It sounds almost mythical, but during those crucial early weeks of development, a tiny tail extends from the base of the embryo's spine. It's a clear, undeniable echo of our distant ancestors.
A tail? I've heard about vestigial organs, but an actual tail with vertebrae, muscles, and nerves in a human embryo feels like something from a fantasy novel. What happens to it? Does it just vanish?
Precisely. This structure, complete with its own small bones and nerve endings, begins forming around day 28. It peaks in size a week or so later then. Just as quietly as it appeared, it's reabsorbed back into the developing body. It doesn't disappear entirely, though. It becomes the tailbone, or coccyx, a fused remnant at the base of our spine.
So it's not truly gone, just repurposed. That's a fascinating example of evolution's economy. But you mentioned occasionally babies are born with small tails still intact. What does that mean for our understanding of this process?
Those rare instances are incredibly illuminating. They're a direct, visible glimpse into our evolutionary past, serving as a reminder that the genetic instructions for building a tail are still very much present in our DNA. Normally, those instructions are turned off or redirected, leading to the coccyx. But in these rare cases, the reabsorption process isn't fully completed. It shows we once shared a body plan with creatures who used that tail for vital functions, like balance, climbing, or swimming, which speaks volumes about our deep connection to other vertebrates.
It's humbling to think about how much of our basic blueprint is shared. Speaking of shared blueprints, I often hear about the 20,000 or so human genes we possess, but the claim that bacteria in and on us carry millions more and aren't just passengers really challenges our notion of individuality.
It's a profound redefinition of self. We typically think of ourselves as a single organism, but we are in fact complex ecosystems. The bacteria, fungi, and viruses living in and on our bodies, collectively known as the microbiome, far outnumber our own cells and genes. They aren't just along for the ride, they're active participants in our biology.
So these microbes aren't just digesting our food, which I know is a common understanding. They influence our immune system and even our mood? That's a much deeper level of integration than I would have imagined.
Absolutely. The gut microbiome, in particular, acts as a second brain of sorts, producing neurotransmitters and interacting directly with our immune cells. It's an ecosystem that co-evolved with humans over millions of years. Some of these beneficial microbes are inherited across generations, just as surely as our DNA, while others are acquired from our diet, the soil, and even the people we interact with. It means you're not just one organism, you're a walking, thinking community, intricately shaped by biological history.
A walking, thinking community, part human, part microbial. It completely shifts the perspective. Now, let's talk about something that seems almost counterintuitive, regressive evolution. The idea that some cave fish lose their eyes, but their embryos still begin to develop them. Why would evolution bother starting something it's just going to discard?
It's a fantastic illustration of evolution's pragmatic nature. In the perpetually dark, silent waters of underground caves, eyes offer no advantage. In fact, developing and maintaining them would be a metabolic drain. So, over generations, natural selection favored fish that didn't fully develop their eyes. But the underlying genetic blueprint for eye development is ancient and deeply conserved across vertebrates.
So the off switch, or the stop development command, is easier to evolve than entirely deleting the complex genetic instructions for building an eye from scratch?
Exactly. It's often more efficient for evolution to shut down or curtail a developmental pathway than to completely rewire the entire genetic program. Tiny eye structures form, just like in their sighted relatives. Then growth simply stops, and the tissue dissolves. This phenomenon reveals how life removes what it no longer needs, but often keeps a ghost of the original plan. Even in blindness, these cavefish carry the quiet blueprint of sight, an echo of light their ancestors once followed.
That's elegant in its inefficiency in a way. It also reminds me of whales and their almost mythical vestigial pelvic bones. It's a classic example, but still incredibly striking to think about.
It's a powerful one because it literally shows the skeletal ghost of a land-dwelling past. Deep within the soft tissues near their hips, whales possess tiny pelvic bones. They're no longer connected to limbs, serve no locomotor function, yet they persist. These structures once supported the strong walking legs of their terrestrial ancestors.
So as whales adapted to aquatic life, these bones simply shrunk over millions of years, losing their original purpose. But why not just get rid of them entirely? Why carry this anatomical fossil around?
Evolution rarely deletes a structure entirely, especially if it doesn't impose a significant cost. It repurposes, modifies, or simply lets it linger if it's not detrimental to survival. The vestigial pelvis in whales is a quiet anatomical fossil, a remnant of a body that once walked, now gliding silently through the sea. It's a profound testament to the power of deep time and how environmental pressures can completely transform an animal's form while still carrying the echoes of its past.
It's like an old design quirk that just never got patched out. On the topic of dramatic body parts, the giraffe's neck is iconic. It's one of the longest necks in the animal kingdom, but I was surprised to learn it has the same number of vertebrae as a mouse or a human.
That's one of the most surprising facts about mammalian anatomy. Despite its astonishing length, the giraffe's neck is built from just 7 cervical vertebrae, the exact same number found in nearly all mammals. The difference isn't in adding more bones, but in how those existing bones have stretched and elongated over time.
So each vertebra simply grew much, much longer. That illustrates a core principle of evolution then, doesn't it? Working with what's available rather than inventing from scratch.
Precisely. This constraint, the 7-bone blueprint, shows how evolution modifies existing structures rather than inventing entirely new ones. A longer neck wasn't created by adding new bones. It came from elongating what was already there. Even the most dramatic changes in form often arise from relatively small tweaks to familiar blueprints, demonstrating a conservatism in evolutionary design.
That's a fantastic point about conservatism. Moving from form to function, echolocation is an incredible ability. Bats hunting in the dark, dolphins navigating murky oceans. The fact that this seeing with sound evolved independently in both is a powerful example of convergent evolution.
It truly is. Dolphins and bats are separated by millions of years of evolution and occupy utterly different environments. Yet both lineages evolved similar genetic changes to their hearing and sound-producing machinery to achieve echolocation. It's a striking case where similar challenges lead unrelated species down strikingly similar evolutionary paths.
It makes sense that a need for seeing in the dark would drive similar solutions. But are the mechanisms identical at a molecular level or just functionally similar?
While the overall functional outcome is the same, there are differences. However, studies have identified specific genes related to hearing and vocalization that show similar mutations in both bats and dolphins, suggesting parallel molecular adaptations. Sound became a way to pierce the darkness, and evolution crafted 2 distinct solutions that arrived at the same destination.
That's incredible. And flight, of course, is another prime example of convergent evolution. Birds, bats, insects, even pterosaurs all took to the skies, but not in the same way.
Indeed, the skies are full of creatures with wings, but they didn't all get them the same way. Birds evolved wings from forelimbs, bats adapted a membrane stretched across elongated fingers, and insects developed wings as completely novel outgrowths of their thorax. Pterosaurs, those ancient flying reptiles, had a membrane wing supported by a single hyper-elongated finger.
So in each case, evolution took what was available, an arm, a membrane, a set of scales, and reshaped it into something capable of lifting an animal into the air. It's not a single invention, but multiple improvisations.
Exactly. These multiple inventions of flight are a reminder that evolution isn't a straight line. It's improvisation, trial and error, and capitalizing on opportunity. It demonstrates nature's remarkable capacity for innovation, finding different pathways to achieve a similar functional outcome, sometimes taking to the skies in four entirely different ways.
It highlights how powerful selective pressures can be. Now, let's turn to something I find truly mind-boggling. Humans and bananas sharing around 60% of their DNA. It sounds like a punchline, but it's a profound statement about the unity of life.
It is, and it's absolutely true. This isn't because we're secretly related to bananas in a direct sense, but because much of the fundamental genetic code across all life on Earth is made from the same ancient ingredients. Genes for basic cellular processes, copying DNA, breaking down sugars, making proteins, are so fundamental they've been passed down across billions of years of evolution.
So it's about the essential operating system, the core functions that all life needs. The differences come in how those genes are arranged, expressed, and adapted for specific forms.
That's right. You are obviously not a banana, but on a molecular level, you're both running variations of the same deeply ancient code. It's a powerful reminder of our shared ancestry with all living things, stretching back to that last universal common ancestor.
And sometimes evolution reshapes even the most fundamental processes, like reproduction. Parthenogenesis in lizards, where females can reproduce entirely without males, feels like it breaks one of biology's most basic rules.
It does. By our conventional understanding, parthenogenesis, or virgin birth, allows a single female to create offspring that are genetic clones of herself. It's rare among vertebrates, but in some desert-dwelling lizards, it has become the norm. A lone individual can found an entire population.
That seems incredibly efficient, particularly in harsh or isolated environments where finding a mate might be difficult. But what are the evolutionary trade-offs for such a strategy?
The main trade-off is a lack of genetic diversity. A population of clones might thrive in a stable environment, but they're incredibly vulnerable to disease or sudden environmental changes, as there's no variation for natural selection to act upon. It's a striking example of how evolution can reshape reproduction in ways that break the usual rules, especially when the benefits outweigh the risks in specific ecological niches.
It seems that evolution is always adapting, always finding a way around obstacles. You mentioned the tree of life earlier, and it's a concept that truly ties everything together, from whales to willow trees to the bacteria in our gut.
Indeed, every plant, every animal, every fungus, and microbe that has ever lived on this planet is part of the same unbroken tree of life. If you trace the branches far enough back in time, past mass extinctions and shifting continents, you'd arrive at a single ancient cell. This cell lived over 3.5 billion years ago in a world without oxygen, long before the first fish or fern.
And its genetic material still survives in every living creature today. It's a mind-boggling thought to connect ourselves not just to immediate ancestors, but to pond scum and mushrooms.
It means you're not just connected to your parents and grandparents, but to mushrooms, coral reefs, and pond scum, all cousins in a vast and ancient family. It emphasizes that life is a continuum, constantly branching and diversifying, but fundamentally interconnected at its deepest roots.
And speaking of deep roots, the ancestors of modern whales walking on land is another incredible transformation. It almost sounds mythological, a land animal returning to the sea.
It's one of the most thoroughly documented evolutionary transitions in the fossil record. Long before they swam the oceans, the ancestors of modern whales were terrestrial mammals. They had hooves, long snouts, and limbs built for wading through shallow rivers, likely resembling something like a small deer or a dog.
So over tens of millions of years, their descendants gradually became more aquatic. How does the fossil record show this gradual change?
Fossils like Pakicetus and Ambulocetus capture this transition beautifully. These were animals with both land-going limbs and ear bones specifically adapted for underwater hearing, illustrating a creature literally caught between two worlds. Their legs shortened, their tails broadened into flukes, and their nostrils migrated to the tops of their heads to become blowholes. What began as a four-legged forager became the largest animal the world has ever seen, carrying the hidden legacy of that transformation.
It's a complete reimagining of a body plan. And if we can reimagine a whale's ancestry, it forces us to look differently at even the most common birds. The idea that a sparrow is a tiny feathered dinosaur feels almost whimsical.
It's not whimsical, it's biological fact. Modern birds evolved from a branch of small, fast, feathered theropods, the same group that includes Velociraptor and Tyrannosaurus rex. These ancient creatures already had hollow bones, sharp vision, and feathers that were used for warmth or display, long before flight evolved.
So, evolution didn't erase their dinosaur ancestry. It just repurposed existing features like feathers and hollow bones, lightening their skeletons and turning limbs into wings.
Exactly. Birds still lay eggs, they still have claws, beaks, and even traces of dinosaur genes in their DNA. Every robin, every owl, every pigeon you pass is, in a very real sense, a dinosaur that learned to fly. It completely recontextualizes our urban wildlife.
It certainly does. And that idea of repurposing or simply leaving things behind connects to vestigial structures, which you mentioned with whales. Human goosebumps or the appendix are perfect examples.
Indeed, throughout the bodies of animals, including our own, are features that no longer serve their original function. Human goosebumps, for instance, once helped our hairy ancestors puff up their fur to stay warm or appear larger to predators. Today, they serve little purpose on our relatively hairless skin.
And the appendix, often just a source of medical trouble, is another one. It seems like evolution is quite messy, not always tidying up perfectly.
That's a great way to put it. The appendix is thought to be a remnant of a plant-digesting organ used by distant herbivorous ancestors. Evolution rarely erases things cleanly. It modifies, repurposes, and occasionally just lets features linger if they're not actively harmful. These vestigial structures are quiet anatomical clues to who we used to be.
Which leads us to a very contemporary and pressing example of evolution in action: antibiotic resistance. It's not over millions of years, but within our own lifetimes.
Antibiotic resistance is a vivid and stark demonstration of natural selection occurring in real time. When bacteria are exposed to antibiotics, most die. But thanks to random genetic mutations, a few might possess resistance. These survivors multiply rapidly, passing along their resistance genes.
And suddenly, an entire population can become immune to a drug that once killed it, all within weeks or months. It's a rapid evolutionary arms race.
That's exactly right. Traits that increase survival spread through the population. Antibiotic resistance is a global health crisis, but it's also a powerful, ongoing demonstration of how relentless and adaptable evolution can be, unfolding not just in the wild, but in our hospitals and farms.
The platypus always strikes me as a creature designed by committee, a collection of evolutionary oddities. A duck-like bill, fur, webbed feet, and it lays eggs. How does it even fit into the tree of life?
The platypus is indeed a living enigma, a true mosaic of evolutionary history. Every part of its body tells a unique story. It produces milk like a mammal but lays eggs like a reptile, classifying it as a monotreme. It has electroreception, detecting the electrical signals of prey underwater, a rare trait among mammals.
And its genes are equally strange, I understand.
Yes, it has 10 sex chromosomes, some resembling those of birds. The platypus isn't a mashup, it's a living snapshot of evolutionary branching, showing what can happen when a lineage takes its own strange path through deep time, preserving features that are ancient even as it innovates new ones.
That's a remarkable example of nature's experimentation. And sometimes evolution's experiments lead to broken genes that ironically unlock new potential, as with the human jaw and brain size.
This is a profound theory that speaks to the subtle, often unexpected trade-offs in evolution. In humans, a key gene that once built powerful jaw muscles in our primate ancestors carries a mutation that renders it inactive. Our ancient relatives had much larger chewing muscles and proportionally smaller skulls.
So the breaking of this gene reduced mechanical pressure on the skull, potentially allowing the brain case to expand. It's not a direct cause, but an enabling factor.
Precisely. Whether the mutation directly caused bigger brains or simply allowed them the space to grow, it reveals how evolution isn't always about building new perfection. Sometimes a gene breaks and something extraordinary grows in the space it leaves behind. It's a testament to the complex, indirect pathways that can lead to major evolutionary shifts.
And our teeth, it turns out, carry traces of an aquatic ancestry. That's a connection I never would have made.
It's an incredibly deep connection. Hidden in the human genome are broken versions of genes that once produced enamel across the entire body, not just on teeth. In ancient fish, a hard enamel-like coating helped protect their entire exterior.
So over evolutionary time, as animals transitioned to land, those genes were lost or repurposed because full-body enamel wasn't needed anymore and it only remained on our teeth?
That's right. Today, enamel appears only on teeth and the rest of the body is soft, but the ghost of that armor remains, coded in your DNA. It's an evolutionary whisper from long before limbs ever touched dry ground, linking us directly to armored fish swimming in ancient seas.
That's a brilliant image. And speaking of fish-to-land transitions, Tiktaalik, discovered in 2004, is one of those iconic fossil finds that truly illuminates this monumental shift.
Tiktaalik is often called a fishapod for good reason. It's a 375-million-year-old fossil that beautifully bridges the gap between fish and four-legged land animals. It had gills and fins, like a fish, but also lungs and sturdy wrist-like bones within those fins, capable of supporting its body in shallow water or on muddy flats.
So it was perfectly adapted for a liminal world, a kind of amphibious fish. What does it tell us about the pace of evolution?
Its flat head and flexible neck resembled a cross between a fish and a salamander. Tiktaalik isn't necessarily our direct ancestor, but it's a crucial piece of the transitional puzzle that explains how life moved from water to land. Evolution doesn't leap, it builds one tiny change at a time until fins become feet and rivers give rise to forests. It shows us evolution in slow, deliberate motion.
It's amazing how a single fossil can tell such a comprehensive story, and sometimes evolution tells a story of eerie repetition, like the extinct Tasmanian wolf looking almost exactly like a dog, despite being a marsupial.
The Tasmanian wolf, or thylacine, is a classic example of convergent evolution. With its pointed ears and striped back, it looked remarkably like a dog, but it wasn't even a placental mammal. It was a marsupial, more closely related to kangaroos than to wolves. On the isolated continent of Australia, it evolved a nearly identical skull shape, gait, and hunting behavior.
So, despite being separated by over 100 million years of lineage, the demands of being a meat-eating predator sculpted both animals into the same form. It's a powerful argument for natural selection, finding optimal solutions.
Absolutely. Evolution often repeats itself, not exactly, but close enough to be uncanny. It's a testament to the power of environmental pressures to shape form and function, proving that similar problems often lead to similar solutions, regardless of starting materials.
It's almost as if there are only so many good ways to be a predator. And penguins, of course, are another incredible example of evolutionary trade-offs. They didn't forget how to fly, they traded it for something else.
That's a crucial distinction. Over millions of years, their wings shrank and stiffened, becoming perfect flippers for diving. Their bones became heavier, no longer hollow like those of flying birds, and their feathers compacted into dense, waterproof layers. These changes gave them extraordinary agility underwater.
They fly through the sea with the grace of torpedoes, I've heard. But this shift came at a cost. They could no longer take to the skies. It's not a story of perfection, but sufficiency.
Exactly. Evolution doesn't aim for perfection, only sufficiency. In the frigid waters of the Southern Ocean, penguins are as finely tuned for their environment as any eagle in flight. They made an evolutionary choice that optimized them for a specific niche, sacrificing one ability for a more crucial one.
And horses, too, have undergone an incredible transformation, standing on what is essentially a single toe. Their powerful hooves are enlarged middle toes, specialized for speed.
It's a testament to how profoundly a limb can be reshaped. If you go back over 50 million years, early horses like Eohippus were small, forest-dwelling creatures with 4 toes on their front feet and 3 on their hind feet, padding through dense undergrowth.
So as grasslands spread and predators became faster, natural selection favored longer limbs and simpler, more efficient feet. The side toes simply shrank and vanished.
Precisely. What remains today is a streamlined limb descended from a once sprawling foot, an elegant compromise between ancestry and environment. It shows how incremental changes, driven by environmental pressures, can lead to dramatic specialization over deep time.
It's a brilliant example of form following function in response to changing landscapes. Now, let's talk about something incredibly clever, the tiger moth's defense against bats using sound to jam their sonar.
This is a fantastic example of a biological arms race. Some tiger moths have evolved specialized organs called tymbals, which emit rapid ultrasonic clicks while in flight. To human ears, it's silence, but to a hunting bat using echolocation, it's like a burst of static.
So it blurs the moth's outline or suggests a false location. It's an active countermeasure, like military jamming technology, but purely biological.
Exactly. This acoustic defense is a rare example of biological countermeasures, an evolutionary arms race played out in darkness. Every refinement in bat sonar is met with an upgrade in moth stealth. It's a continuous cycle of adaptation and counter-adaptation, pushing both species to new levels of sensory and defensive sophistication.
It makes me wonder what other hidden battles are constantly playing out around us. And then we have seahorses, where the males carry the embryos. It completely reverses our typical understanding of animal reproduction.
It's a striking deviation from the norm in the animal kingdom. In seahorses, the female deposits her eggs into a pouch on the male's belly, where he fertilizes and protects them as they develop. The pouch supplies oxygen, nutrients, and even contractions during birth.
So evolution doesn't follow social conventions, it responds to what works. What's the benefit of this role reversal for seahorses?
In the tangled seagrass where seahorses live, this arrangement likely gives mothers more time to produce eggs, while fathers guard the next generation, potentially allowing for more frequent reproductive cycles. It also ensures protection for the delicate developing young. It's an example of evolution finding an effective solution to reproductive success within a specific ecological niche.
It's a beautiful example of flexibility in reproduction, from seahorses to naked mole rats, which are fascinating for their ability to thrive in extremely harsh, oxygen-poor environments, and even their insensitivity to certain kinds of pain.
Naked mole rats are truly exceptional. They live underground in dark, crowded tunnels with high levels of carbon dioxide, an environment that would be lethal to most other mammals. Over time, they evolved remarkable adaptations to handle this.
And one of the most unusual traits is their inability to feel certain kinds of pain. Their nerve receptors don't respond to acid or capsaicin, the chemical that makes chili peppers burn.
This insensitivity likely evolved as a side effect of adapting to their stuffy, acidic tunnels. In their strange world, constant pain signals from the environment would be both overwhelming and useless. So evolution, in a sense, turned them off. It's a fascinating example of how sensory perception can be selectively modified to suit a specific, extreme habitat.
That's an extreme adaptation, to say the least. Now, elephants and their conveyor belt teeth system are another marvel. Unlike us, they don't have one set of adult teeth.
It's a perfectly adapted dental strategy for their diet. Their massive molars grow deep within their jaws and slowly move forward as older teeth wear down from grinding tough vegetation. Over a lifetime, an elephant cycles through 6 sets of these grinding plates, each new molar larger and tougher than the one before.
So this ensures they can constantly process bark, roots, and fibrous vegetation throughout their long lives. It's a brilliant solution to a high-wear diet.
It is. Eventually, even the final pair wears out, and in the wild, this can ultimately determine an elephant's lifespan. It's a quiet but profound example of how evolution shapes not just bodies, but the very passage of time and the life cycle within them, intricately linking diet to longevity.
From elephants to humans, skin color is one of the most visible examples of evolution in action, but it's more complex than many realize, having evolved independently multiple times.
It's a perfect illustration of convergent evolution within our own species. Populations living in high UV environments evolved darker skin to protect against DNA damage and preserve folate, which is crucial for reproduction. Conversely, those in low UV zones evolved lighter skin to absorb more sunlight for vitamin D synthesis.
But this happened independently in different parts of the world. Dark-skinned populations in Africa and southern India are genetically distinct, and the light skin of Europeans and East Asians evolved through different genetic mutations. It's not a single gradient.
Precisely. Human skin tone is not a linear gradient across the globe. It's a patchwork of local evolutionary solutions to varying levels of sunlight. This showcases the power of natural selection to produce similar adaptive outcomes from different genetic starting points, responding to environmental pressures.
It truly refines our understanding of human variation, and the North American pronghorn antelope running at speeds over 55 miles per hour, yet its predators aren't nearly as fast. What's the story there?
The pronghorn is a living fossil of an ancient arms race. Its incredible speed is far greater than any of its living predators. The reason lies in the past. During the Ice Age, pronghorns shared the plains with now extinct American cheetahs, incredibly fleet-footed hunters that pushed their prey to evolve greater and greater speed.
So, when those super-fast predators vanished, the pronghorn kept its running ability. It's now a species built for a race that no longer happens.
Exactly. Evolution leaves traces not just of what exists, but of what's gone. It's a kind of ecological ghost written into bones, sinews, and astonishing bursts of speed. The pronghorn's physiology is a testament to the selective pressures of a bygone era, demonstrating how adaptations can persist long after the original threat has disappeared.
It makes you wonder what else in nature is still responding to ancient threats. And then there's the human recurrent laryngeal nerve, which takes an incredibly circuitous route from our brain to our voice box. It's a design flaw almost.
It's a classic example of evolution remodeling rather than rebuilding from scratch. Instead of going directly from your brain to your voice box, this nerve loops down into your chest, wraps around the aorta, and then returns upward. It's an absurd detour.
And in fish, its ancestor, the nerve took a short, direct route. As necks and chests grew longer in our tetrapod ancestors, the nerve simply got stretched but was never rerouted.
That's precisely it. Even in giraffes, the same nerve takes this absurd detour, stretching over 15 feet. Evolution doesn't rebuild from scratch. It remodels what's already there, even if the result is inefficient or seemingly poorly designed. It's a powerful argument against intelligent design, showcasing the historical contingencies of evolution.
It's a marvel of compromise then. And speaking of similar solutions, cacti in the Americas and euphorbias in Africa look strikingly similar, despite not being closely related.
This is another fantastic example of convergent evolution. Both plants have evolved thick-ribbed stems, spines, and water-storing tissues, but they belong to entirely different botanical families. Their similarity is a result of different lineages arriving at the same adaptations in response to the same environmental pressures.
So both plants needed to conserve water, deter herbivores, and survive intense sun, and evolution sculpted them into the same solution from completely different starting materials.
Exactly. If you didn't know better, you might think they were twins, but their resemblance is only skin deep. It's a testament to the finite number of optimal solutions for similar environmental challenges, regardless of the biological lineage.
It speaks to the power of environmental filtering. Our color vision, with 3 types of cone cells, gives us a rich world, but some animals see even more, extending into ultraviolet light.
That's right. Humans see in rich color, but birds, butterflies, mantis shrimp, and some reptiles have evolved even more complex color vision systems, often including the ability to see ultraviolet. This means they perceive a world of colors and patterns completely invisible to us.
And this enhanced vision plays a role in mate selection, navigation, and foraging. It evolved independently across different animal groups.
Indeed, insects and vertebrates don't use the same genes or even the same retinal pigments, yet they arrived at similar solutions. In some primates, color vision even re-evolved after earlier ancestors had lost it. Evolution doesn't preserve traits unless they serve a purpose, but it's willing to reinvent them when conditions are right, tuning eyes to see a richer, often hidden world.
It's a reminder that our perception of reality is just one of many. Crocodilians, often called living fossils because their external form hasn't changed much in 200 million years, still show internal evolution.
That nickname is a bit misleading. While their external form has remained remarkably consistent, their internal biology has continued to evolve. Crocodiles have incredibly efficient circulatory systems, capable of holding their breath for over an hour, and their hearts are uniquely adapted to diving.
So, visible change isn't the only marker of evolution. Stability itself can be an adaptation.
Exactly. Their behaviors, including maternal care and vocal communication, are surprisingly advanced. Evolution doesn't always mean visible change. Sometimes stability itself is the adaptation, a sign that an ancient, successful design still works perfectly in the modern world. They've optimized their physiology without needing to drastically alter their external appearance.
It's a powerful lesson that evolution isn't always about radical shifts. And then we have marsupial versions of moles, anteaters, mice, and even wolves. These mirror forms are another testament to convergent evolution.
It's a striking phenomenon observed on different continents. Marsupials, like kangaroos and koalas, evolved separately from placental mammals. Yet both groups ended up with remarkably similar forms, almost as if nature was producing parallel versions of the same ecological roles.
So, similar ecological pressures in isolated evolutionary theaters led to similar shapes and functions. It's not copying, but independent sculpting.
Precisely. The environment sculpted them the same way. Evolution doesn't care where a solution comes from, only that it works. It highlights the universality of natural selection in finding optimal solutions for specific niches, regardless of the lineage.
It's fascinating. And the woodpecker striking wood with 1,000 times the force of gravity, yet its brain doesn't rattle. That's a masterclass in biological engineering.
It's an extraordinary feat of biomechanics. The woodpecker has evolved a suite of adaptations to absorb that incredible impact: a thickened skull, a flexible beak tip, a spongy bone structure in its head, and a specialized hyoid bone that wraps around its skull like a safety harness. Its eyes even close milliseconds before impact to prevent retinal damage.
None of this happened overnight. It took countless tiny steps over millions of years, each one preserving the birds that could peck a little harder and survive.
Exactly. It's a prime example of gradual accumulation of adaptations, where every incremental improvement contributed to survival and reproductive success. The woodpecker is a living testament to the power of natural selection to fine-tune complex systems over vast periods of time.
And from specialized heads to specialized eyes, flatfish like flounders and halibut are incredible, with their eyes migrating to one side of their head.
Flatfish begin life looking like ordinary fish, with one eye on each side of the head. But as they develop, one eye slowly migrates over the top of the head to join the other on what will become the upper side, and the fish begins to swim sideways along the seafloor. The adult body becomes entirely asymmetrical.
Fossils even show transitional forms with halfway shifted eyes, capturing the process mid-mutation. It's a reminder that evolution doesn't need to make symmetrical beauty, only that survival works.
Exactly. This is a vivid demonstration of how natural selection prioritizes function over form, even if the result is visually unusual. The gradual shift of the eye is a powerful example of an evolutionary pathway captured in the fossil record, showing step-by-step adaptation to a benthic or bottom-dwelling lifestyle.
It's a testament to the opportunistic nature of evolution. And koalas with fingerprints so detailed and human-like they're hard to tell apart from ours. That's another surprising convergence.
It's truly remarkable. The ridged loops and whorls of koala fingerprints evolved independently, not from a common ancestor with primates. This is another clear case of convergent evolution, where two very different lineages arrive at the same solution for a similar problem.
So, fingerprints provide traction for gripping, especially on smooth bark, and may aid in tactile sensitivity. It makes sense for a tree-climbing marsupial.
Absolutely. That means koalas climbing quietly through eucalyptus trees independently arrived at the same friction-enhancing feature that humans use for tool-making and fine manipulation. Nature often revisits its best ideas, even in unexpected places, proving the functional effectiveness of such adaptations.
It's amazing how certain solutions are so effective they pop up again and again. And from the intricate patterns of fingerprints to the nearly invisible wings of some butterflies, it's a completely different kind of camouflage.
While most butterflies dazzle with vivid color, species like the glasswing butterfly of Central America have evolved nearly invisible wings. Their scales are spaced apart or absent, allowing light to pass directly through them. The effect is astonishing. The wings become panes of living glass.
This adaptation provides camouflage, making it harder for predators to spot them in flight. Transparency in land animals is rare, but in the dappled light of a rainforest, it's a powerful form of invisibility.
Indeed, evolution didn't create these wings from scratch. It simply reduced the parts that reflected light, letting the world shine through. It's a subtle but highly effective adaptation that demonstrates how simple modifications to existing structures can lead to profound functional advantages.
That's incredible, like a biological stealth technology. And back to naked mole rats, they have another astounding trick, surviving without oxygen by switching their metabolism to use fructose, a trick normally seen only in plants.
This is truly one of their most bizarre and brilliant adaptations. In low-oxygen environments, which are common in their cramped underground tunnels, they switch their metabolism to use fructose instead of glucose. This is a survival mechanism previously thought to be exclusive to the plant kingdom.
So this shift helps keep their brain and heart functioning even when oxygen levels drop to near zero, a state that would kill most mammals within minutes.
Exactly. Shaped by millions of years in poorly ventilated tunnels, mole rats evolved a unique workaround, essentially borrowing a strategy from plants. It's a powerful example of how extreme environmental pressures can drive the evolution of entirely novel physiological pathways, allowing survival in conditions that are otherwise lethal.
It highlights the deep connections even across kingdoms. And dogs, through thousands of years of domestication, evolved the rare ability to read subtle human cues. Their capacity to understand us is biologically wired.
It's a unique coevolutionary success story. Studies show dogs outperform chimpanzees, our closest relatives, in interpreting human social gestures like pointing or following gaze. This skill likely evolved through a close partnership with humans, spanning tens of thousands of years.
So, early dogs that were better at anticipating human intentions may have been fed more, sheltered more, or trusted more. This social intelligence was actively selected for.
Precisely. Over time, evolution favored emotional attunement. Your dog isn't just loyal, it's biologically wired to understand you, a testament to the powerful influence of sustained interspecies interaction on cognitive evolution.
That explains why they feel so intuitive. Now, octopuses, with their remarkable ability to edit their own RNA in real time, it's almost like they're rewriting their own software on the fly.
It's an extraordinary adaptation, far more flexible than simply relying on DNA. RNA editing allows them to fine-tune which proteins get made in real time, enabling flexible and rapid responses to their ever-changing environment. It's not a permanent change to their DNA, but a temporary shift in how that DNA is expressed.
So they sacrifice some genetic mutation rates, which are usually how evolution introduces novelty for greater short-term adaptability. It's a different kind of evolutionary strategy.
Indeed, this mechanism is rare among animals and may come at a cost to the overall rate of genetic change. But in a constantly changing, information-rich ocean, evolution gave them a flexible mind and a body to match, demonstrating an alternative pathway to adaptability.
It's like an agile programming approach to biology, and birds, with their 4 types of color receptors, capable of seeing ultraviolet light, experience a richer world than we can even imagine.
Many birds possess tetrachromatic vision, meaning they have 4 types of cone cells in their eyes compared to our 3. This allows them to see ultraviolet light and combinations of colors that lie completely beyond human perception. What looks like a plain brown sparrow to us might be a riot of UV reflecting patterns to another bird.
And this expanded vision plays a crucial role in mate selection, navigation, and foraging. It's a whole other layer of visual information.
Absolutely. Feathers that appear dull to us can glow vividly under the right light for a bird. Evolution tuned their eyes to see a richer world, one we cannot even fully describe. It's a reminder that different species inhabit different perceptual realities, optimized for their specific ecological needs.
It reshapes our understanding of the natural world. And then there's the bright green sea slug, Elysia chlorotica, that steals chloroplasts from algae and uses them to photosynthesize. It's a stunning case of biological theft.
It truly blurs the line between plant and animal. This sea slug has evolved the ability to steal chloroplasts, the light-harvesting parts of algae, and keep them functioning inside its own cells. This allows the slug to photosynthesize, using sunlight to make energy just like a plant.
And the slug even seems to have incorporated some algal genes into its own DNA. It's a hybrid, a solar-powered animal.
It is. This is possibly through horizontal gene transfer, which is rare in complex animals. For a brief time, this animal lives as a solar-powered hybrid, showcasing an incredible evolutionary innovation, where one kingdom literally borrows tools from another to survive and thrive.
It's an ultimate efficiency hack. And kiwis, the small, flightless birds of New Zealand, have taken a different evolutionary path for finding food, using their sense of smell instead of sight.
Most birds locate food by sight, but kiwis are a striking exception. Their nostrils are located at the very tip of their long beaks, allowing them to sniff out insects, worms, and roots buried deep in the soil. Their sense of smell is among the strongest of all birds.
So this unusual trait evolved alongside their nocturnal ground foraging lifestyle, a direct response to their environment in New Zealand.
Exactly. While most birds rely on vision, kiwis use scent, an avian outlier shaped by isolation and the quiet demands of a forest floor. It demonstrates how, in the absence of certain pressures or in the presence of unique opportunities, evolution can reprioritize sensory adaptations.
It's a wonderful example of niche adaptation. And speaking of niches, marsupial moles and placental moles found on different continents look remarkably alike. Another instance of convergent evolution, I assume.
Absolutely. Both are small, blind, covered in dense fur and dig complex tunnel systems with shovel-like forelimbs. But genetically, they are worlds apart. One is a marsupial, the other a placental mammal. Their similarities are entirely the result of convergent evolution.
So, faced with the same subterranean lifestyle, evolution sculpted both animals into nearly identical forms, using entirely different starting materials.
Precisely. They are evolutionary echoes, two unrelated creatures shaped into the same answer. It's a powerful testament to the idea that there are often optimal body plans for particular environments and lifestyles, regardless of the lineage that arrives at them.
It makes you think about how many times similar solutions have been found throughout history. And then there are orchids that mimic female insects, not just in appearance, but in scent, to trick males into pollinating them. It's a fascinating deception.
It's an incredible level of evolutionary manipulation. Certain orchid species have evolved to mimic the appearance and scent of female insects, luring unsuspecting males into attempting to mate with the flower. During these failed attempts, pollen sticks to the insect and is carried to the next flower.
And this form of deception is so precise, it often involves mimicry of specific insect species, down to exact shape, color, and even pheromones. It's not just camouflage, it's seduction.
Exactly. In the game of survival and reproduction, evolution sometimes favors illusion over honesty, and these orchids have become master manipulators in the plant world, demonstrating the intricate and often deceptive strategies found in nature's arms races.
It's a beautiful, if manipulative, strategy. And spiders, too, create a variety of silks, each with different properties. It's not just one type of silk, but a whole toolkit.
Spiders are master engineers. They produce a remarkable variety of silks, each from different glands, evolved to serve a unique purpose. Sticky silk for trapping prey, stretchy silk for safety lines, strong silk for structural support, or fine silk for wrapping eggs. The evolution of silk was not a single event, but a series of innovations.
So it's an evolutionary layering of specialized function. Some silk is tougher than steel by weight, while others rival Kevlar in elasticity. It's one of nature's most versatile biomaterials.
Precisely, it's shaped not by a single invention, but by evolutionary layering of specialized function. This exemplifies how a single underlying material, silk, can be diversified into a vast array of specialized tools through iterative evolutionary refinement, responding to different ecological pressures and needs.
It's stunning complexity. And in several groups of fish, electricity has evolved independently. That's a powerful tool to develop multiple times.
It is. From rays to eels to knifefish, electric organs began as modified muscle cells that no longer contract, but instead produce small electrical charges. By stacking these cells and aligning their outputs, the fish can create voltage.
So, in weakly electric fish, the field is used for navigation and communication, and in stronger species like the electric eel, it's a weapon. The same biological tool, muscle, was transformed again and again into something shocking.
Exactly. Evolution didn't invent electricity, it just borrowed muscle and rewired it. It's a compelling illustration of how existing biological components can be repurposed and specialized to create entirely new and complex functions, demonstrating a convergent path towards electroreception and electrogenesis.
It's a truly shocking adaptation. And speaking of surprising connections, the idea that bats are more closely related to whales and humans than to rodents challenges our visual assumptions.
At first glance, a bat might seem like a close cousin to a mouse, small, furry, and nocturnal. But genetically, bats are more closely related to whales and humans than to rodents. All three belong to a superorder called Lorisiatheria.
This surprising relationship highlights the limits of visual similarity. Evolution shapes animals to fit their environments, not necessarily to reflect their deepest ancestry.
Precisely. Wings and whiskers can mislead. It's only when we look at genomes, not just superficial appearances, that we see the true shape of the evolutionary tree. It's a powerful reminder that outward form can be misleading and that molecular data often reveals deeper, less obvious evolutionary connections.
A great lesson in looking beyond the obvious, and some frog species have evolved to bypass the tadpole stage entirely, developing directly into tiny, fully formed froglets.
While most frogs begin life as aquatic tadpoles, some species have evolved direct development. They lay their eggs on land or in trees, and the embryos develop directly into tiny, fully formed froglets, completely skipping the vulnerable aquatic phase.
So this evolutionary shift eliminates a risky stage, protecting the young from predators and environmental fluctuations in the water. It's a complete rewriting of a life cycle.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that evolution doesn't just shape bodies, it reshapes entire life cycles. Even something as ancient and fundamental as metamorphosis can be rewritten when the environment demands a better route, demonstrating remarkable flexibility in developmental pathways.
It speaks to the endless variation possible, and the axolotl, the salamander that never undergoes full metamorphosis, retaining its juvenile aquatic form into sexual maturity. It's like eternal youth.
The axolotl is a prime example of neoteny, where an animal retains its juvenile traits into adulthood. Instead of transitioning into a land-dwelling adult, it keeps its gills, flattened tail, and external fins, even while fully capable of reproducing.
So this evolutionary choice may have allowed the axolotl to thrive in a stable aquatic environment, avoiding the energy costs and risks of transformation.
Exactly. In a world where most amphibians are bound to metamorphosis, the axolotl took a different path, one that led to perpetual aquatic youth. It demonstrates how developmental pathways can be arrested or modified to suit a particular advantageous lifestyle, making it a unique evolutionary anomaly.
It's a truly fascinating creature, and mirror self-recognition, often considered a test of higher cognition, being possible in pigeons is surprising given their typical perception as simple birds.
It is quite surprising. While pigeons are often dismissed, they can pass this test when properly trained. They can recognize a colored mark on their own bodies, visible only in a reflection, and will try to remove it. This suggests a level of self-awareness that evolved independently from primates, dolphins, or elephants.
So evolution doesn't always place complexity where we expect it. Sometimes it hides it in the feathers of a city bird, challenging our assumptions about animal intelligence.
Precisely. It shows that advanced cognitive abilities can arise in unexpected lineages, not just in those we deem intelligent. It's a powerful argument for exploring the cognitive capacities of a wider range of species without preconceptions.
It certainly expands our understanding, and the eye, with its incredibly specialized long, thin middle finger for percussive foraging, is like a living tool user.
The eye, a nocturnal lemur from Madagascar, has evolved this unique adaptation to tap on wood, listen for hollow spots, and extract grubs. It's a hunting method remarkably similar to how humans use tools, but built directly into its anatomy.
Its finger is supported by a ball and socket joint, giving it a wide range of motion, and its ears are highly adapted to detect the sound of insect movement. It's a perfect example of specialized anatomy and behavior converging.
Absolutely. This evolutionary niche, part bat, part woodpecker, part primate, shows how specialized anatomy and behavior can converge into a single elegant solution for a very specific feeding strategy. It's a testament to the diverse paths evolution can take to solve ecological problems.
And gibbons, masters of brachiation or arm-over-arm swinging, have evolved unique wrist joints that allow them to move through the canopy with incredible agility.
Gibbons are the only primates that use brachiation as their main form of locomotion. To do this efficiently, they evolved unique wrist joints with a ball and socket structure, much like a shoulder. This allows the wrist to rotate freely and reduces strain.
Combined with long fingers, strong shoulders, and light frames, gibbons can swing across gaps of over 30 feet. It's an acrobatic marvel, evolved not for show, but for survival.
Exactly. Evolution didn't invent new parts for them. It fine-tuned what was already there for graceful, efficient flight through the forest canopy. It's a beautiful example of extreme specialization driven by an arboreal lifestyle, optimizing existing structures for a demanding mode of locomotion.
It's an amazing display of adaptation. And sloths, on the opposite end of the speed spectrum, have one of the slowest digestive systems in the animal kingdom, perfectly suited to their low-nutrient diet.
Sloths live on a diet of leaves, which are incredibly low in nutrients. To compensate, their metabolism is extraordinarily slow, and it can take over 2 weeks to fully digest a single meal. To support this, they have multi-chambered stomachs filled with specialized microbes that break down tough plant fibers.
So their sluggish movement, low body temperature, and minimal caloric needs are all part of the same evolutionary strategy. Do less, spend less, and avoid predators by becoming nearly invisible.
Precisely. In the rainforest canopy, patience is not just a virtue, it's a survival tactic. The sloth's entire biology is a tightly integrated suite of adaptations for an extremely low-energy lifestyle, demonstrating that slowness can be a highly successful evolutionary strategy.
It's a brilliant counter-narrative to the idea that faster is always better. And barnacles, usually clinging to rocks, taking their parasitic lifestyle to burrowing into the thick skin of whales. That's an unusual choice of habitat.
It's a highly specialized form of commensalism, almost parasitism. While most barnacles are sessile, some have evolved to embed themselves in the living tissue of whales. There, they feed by filtering plankton as their massive hosts swim through the ocean.
And this intimate relationship is so specialized that some barnacle species are found only on specific types of whales. It's a testament to how evolution can shape entire life cycles around a mobile living environment.
Exactly. It turns a migratory mammal into a floating reef for these barnacles. It's a powerful example of coevolution and niche specialization, where one species completely adapts its life history to exploit the unique opportunities presented by another, highly mobile organism.
It's a strange kind of symbiosis, and vampire bats, with their specialized heat sensors on their noses, are an extraordinary adaptation for finding blood.
Vampire bats, which feed exclusively on the blood of mammals and birds, have evolved these highly sensitive heat sensors that detect the warm flow of blood beneath skin. They can locate veins with pinpoint accuracy in total darkness.
And the underlying mechanism is similar to what's found in some snakes, but it evolved independently, so it's convergent evolution at a sensory level.
Precisely. The bat's razor-sharp teeth and anticoagulant-rich saliva are only part of the story. The real innovation is the ability to see blood through heat. Evolution, in this case, turned touch into a sophisticated form of thermal vision, showcasing a remarkable adaptation to a very specific and challenging feeding niche.
It's a perfect predator adaptation. Now back to the platypus and its 10 sex chromosomes. It's yet another genetic anomaly for this already strange creature.
Most mammals have 2 sex chromosomes, X and Y, but the platypus has an astonishing 10, 5 X's and 5 Y's in males. These form a complex chain during reproduction, passing on combinations that scientists are still working to fully understand.
And some of these chromosomes share features with birds, suggesting a link to a more ancient genetic system. It's truly a living mosaic of evolutionary history.
Absolutely. This complex arrangement is one of many quirks that make the platypus a living mosaic of evolutionary history, part mammal, part reptile, part mystery. It highlights how sex determination systems can be incredibly diverse and undergo unique evolutionary trajectories in different lineages.
It's a creature that constantly defies categorization. And then there are ferns found in Jurassic fossil beds, virtually identical to those growing today. They're like time travelers.
Ferns represent a lineage that found a winning formula very early in evolutionary history. These plants have survived mass extinctions, dramatic climate shifts, and the rise and fall of entire ecosystems with barely a structural change for hundreds of millions of years.
So their secret lies in resilience, reproducing with spores, growing in diverse habitats, and tolerating poor soil. They found a formula that worked and didn't need to change much.
Exactly. In evolutionary terms, they achieved an optimal adaptive state very early on. In forests around the world, ancient green fronds still uncurl exactly as they did beneath the feet of dinosaurs, demonstrating that evolutionary success doesn't always require constant innovation, but sometimes robust persistence.
It's a powerful lesson in longevity. And jellyfish, belonging to one of the oldest animal lineages, with their unique stinging cells and lack of a central nervous system, they're survivors.
Jellyfish are truly ancient, with a lineage stretching back over 500 million years. Their defining feature, the stinging cell called a cnidocyte, is unlike anything else in biology. These cells contain tiny harpoons that fire on contact, injecting venom with lightning speed.
And they have no brain or central nervous system. Their bodies are simple, yet their stinging mechanism is incredibly complex. It's a testament to a different kind of evolutionary success.
Precisely. Evolution shaped them not for thinking, but for surviving, a floating system of reflexes and tentacles, drifting through 500 million years of Earth's history. It showcases how complex biological machinery can evolve without centralized control, emphasizing specialized cellular function.
It's a beautifully simple yet effective design. And in the vastness of the ocean, lifelong pair bonds are rare, but seahorses are an exception, greeting each other with daily rituals.
Despite the conventional wisdom that lifelong pair bonds are rare in the fluid world of ocean life, many seahorse species form monogamous partnerships, even linking tails as they swim. This behavior is tied to their unique reproductive system, where males carry developing embryos in a pouch.
So evolution seems to have favored stable partnerships in these slow-swimming creatures, making mate location and fertilization more reliable in a challenging environment.
Exactly. In a sea of competition, the seahorse took a different path, one of bonding, shared investment, and a gentle kind of fidelity. It's a powerful example of how specific ecological pressures can drive the evolution of complex social and reproductive behaviors, even in unexpected ways.
It's a romantic adaptation, and in the rainforests of Southeast Asia, certain species of Camponotus ants have evolved a dramatic last resort, self-destruction, releasing sticky, toxic chemicals.
This is called autothysis. When threatened, these ants contract abdominal muscles so powerfully that their bodies rupture, releasing sticky, toxic chemicals that immobilize attackers. It's a suicidal defense, protecting the colony at the cost of the individual.
So it's not bravery in the human sense, but biology repurposed for cooperation, a stark example of how natural selection can favor self-sacrifice in social animals.
Precisely. Evolution, in this case, shaped the body into a weapon not for hunting, but for defending others. It highlights the extreme lengths to which altruistic behaviors can evolve in highly social species, where the survival of the colony outweighs the individual.
It's a brutal but effective strategy. Lungfish, ancient air-breathing fish, have evolved the ability to endure extreme drought by entering a state of suspended animation.
When their freshwater habitats dry up, lungfish burrow into the mud and secrete a mucus cocoon, entering a state called estivation. Their metabolism slows dramatically, and they can survive in this state for months, even years, until rains return.
This adaptation evolved over millions of years in regions with unpredictable wet and dry seasons. It's a living snapshot of evolutionary flexibility, blurring the line between fish and amphibian.
Exactly. It's a powerful illustration of how evolution can develop incredible physiological adaptations to cope with extreme environmental fluctuations, moving between motion and stasis, between life and waiting, essentially cheating death by pressing pause.
It's an amazing survival mechanism, and parrots, among the few non-human animals capable of true vocal learning, can mimic complex sounds and develop dialects. It's a form of cultural transmission.
Unlike instinctive calls, learned vocalizations require imitation, memory, and social context. If raised in isolation, young birds never learn the full version of their species' song. This capacity for vocal learning evolved independently of human language, using entirely different neural circuits.
Yet the outcome is strikingly similar, a flexible, dynamic way of communicating. Some wild parrots even use regional accents, and captive birds can mimic household sounds with eerie precision.
Precisely. Evolution in parrots unlocked something surprisingly close to culture, passed not by genes but by voice. It challenges our anthropocentric view of language and highlights how complex communicative abilities can arise through convergent evolution in different lineages.
It certainly gives new meaning to polywana cracker, and in the pitch-black depths of the ocean, female anglerfish carry a luminous lure above their mouths, but the light comes from symbiotic bacteria.
This is a classic deep-sea partnership. These symbiotic bacteria, housed in a special organ, evolved to live nowhere else, and the anglerfish evolved to feed and protect them. In return, the bacteria glow through a chemical process called bioluminescence.
So it's a relationship shaped by deep time and total darkness, evolution building partnerships between organisms to create light where there is none.
Exactly. It's a beautiful example of mutualism, where two species co-evolve to solve a critical environmental challenge, attracting prey in the abyss. It underscores how interdependent life can become, creating novel solutions through biological collaboration.
It's an amazing light in the darkness. And to pump blood all the way to their towering heads, giraffes have evolved a cardiovascular system unlike any other.
Their hearts are massive and powerful, capable of generating blood pressure over twice that of a human. Their arteries are thick and muscular, and special valves prevent backflow when they lower or raise their heads. Without these adaptations, the simple act of drinking water could cause brain damage.
So evolution sculpted their bodies to accommodate this biological challenge, not just in the neck bones we see, but in the unseen rhythms of their hearts.
Precisely. It's a marvel of physiological engineering, showing how a dramatic morphological change, like an elongated neck, necessitates a cascade of compensatory adaptations throughout the entire circulatory system. It's a holistic evolutionary design challenge and solution.
It's a reminder of the intricate connections within a body. And camels, famous for their humps, have an even more remarkable adaptation hidden in their bloodstream, oval-shaped red blood cells.
Unlike the round red blood cells found in most mammals, camels have uniquely oval-shaped ones. This allows their blood to flow smoothly even when extremely dehydrated, as the cells are more flexible and less likely to clump together.
So they can lose up to 25% of their body's water, a level fatal to most animals, and still recover quickly. Evolution shaped their blood for endurance in one of Earth's harshest environments.
Exactly. It's a specialized cellular adaptation for arid conditions, showcasing how evolution can fine-tune even the most fundamental physiological components to enable survival and thriving in extreme habitats. It's an incredible biological solution to a desert problem.
It's a brilliant internal innovation, and wild tree shrews in Southeast Asia consume fermented nectar with alcohol levels similar to beer, yet show no signs of intoxication.
Genetic studies reveal that tree shrews have evolved highly efficient alcohol metabolizing enzymes, allowing them to process ethanol without the behavioral effects seen in most mammals. It's thought this trait helped them take advantage of a food source others avoided.
So evolution once again found a way to turn risk into opportunity, shaping a species that can sip without stumbling.
Precisely. It's an example of how dietary pressures can drive the evolution of unique metabolic pathways, allowing a species to exploit a niche that might otherwise be toxic or unpalatable to competitors. It highlights the biochemical ingenuity of natural selection.
It's quite the party trick, and the tuatara, a reptile native to New Zealand, is the sole survivor of a lineage that split from other reptiles over 200 million years ago, possessing a third eye.
Among its many ancient features is this parietal eye, a light-sensitive organ buried beneath the skin on the top of its head. Though it doesn't form images, it detects changes in light and may help regulate circadian rhythms or seasonal behavior.
It's most visible in juveniles, fading as the tuatara matures. So evolution didn't erase this primitive feature, it simply tucked it beneath the surface, where it still quietly watches the sky.
Exactly. It's a fascinating vestigial sensory organ demonstrating the persistence of ancient structures that, while reduced in function, still play a role. It highlights the incredible conservatism of some evolutionary lineages, retaining traits for vast periods of time.
It's a beautiful touch of deep time. And Australian wombats, the only known animals that produce cube-shaped feces, that's a truly unique evolutionary quirk.
This strange adaptation allows the poop to stack neatly, preventing it from rolling away, which is incredibly useful for marking territory in hilly terrain. The cube shape isn't formed by a square-shaped opening, though.
So it's formed by varying elasticity in different parts of the intestine. As the feces dry and compress, muscular contractions shape them into distinct edges. It's an example of how even the most mundane traits can be molded by evolutionary pressures.
Precisely, it demonstrates how biology and physics interact to produce a highly specialized, if unusual, functional outcome. It's a quirky but effective solution to a territorial marking challenge, showcasing the surprising creativity of natural selection.
It's a geometric wonder, and in the insect world, some spiders mimic ants almost perfectly, not just visually but behaviorally, to exploit their reputation.
Ants are feared and respected for their strength and organization. Some spiders have evolved to exploit that reputation by mimicking ants almost perfectly, narrowing their waists, waving their front legs like antennae, and adopting jerky, ant-like movements.
So this disguise can help them avoid predators or sneak into ant colonies unnoticed. It's a quiet form of camouflage built not from invisibility, but from imitation.
Exactly. Evolution shaped their bodies and habits to copy another species entirely. It's a sophisticated form of mimicry that extends beyond mere appearance into complex behavior, highlighting the adaptive advantages of deception and blending in with a more formidable species.
It's a testament to the power of a good disguise, and the peacock's elaborate tail, huge and colorful, yet a burden. Why would evolution favor such a costly display?
The answer lies in sexual selection, a process where traits that improve mating success are favored, even if they reduce survival in other contexts. Peahens prefer males with the largest, most symmetrical tails.
So over time, this preference drove the evolution of extravagance. The tail is a signal, a costly, honest display of health and genetic fitness. It's an impractical beauty that serves a vital reproductive purpose.
Precisely. In the evolutionary marketplace of attraction, beauty can be worth the price. It's a classic example of how sexual selection can drive traits to extremes that might seem counterintuitive from a pure survival perspective, but are highly advantageous for reproductive success.
It's a beautiful evolutionary paradox. And chickens, modern chickens, have beaks, but buried in their DNA are the dormant instructions for growing teeth, a legacy from their toothed ancestors.
This is a fascinating example of genetic remnants. In rare laboratory experiments, scientists have even been able to activate these ancient genes and induce the growth of rudimentary tooth structures in chicken embryos. The genes are still there, silent but intact, like archived blueprints.
So evolution doesn't erase old instructions unless it has to. Instead, it layers new adaptations over old ones, sometimes leaving forgotten tools buried in the genome, ready to be rediscovered under the right conditions.
Exactly. It speaks to the incredible conservatism of the genome and the way developmental pathways are often modified, rather than completely deleted. It's a powerful reminder of how our distant ancestry is literally encoded within us.
It's like finding old software code still embedded in a new program, and slime molds, single-celled organisms that can merge into sprawling, multicellular networks, solving complex problems despite lacking brains or nerves.
They are remarkable. Despite their simplicity, they solve complex problems like finding the shortest path through a maze or optimizing nutrient routes between multiple food sources. They do this by communicating through chemical signals, adjusting their shape and movement in real time.
So what we call intelligence has evolved in many forms, and slime molds represent one of the simplest yet eerily effective. Their decision-making emerges not from neurons, but from the physics of self-organization.
Precisely. Evolution, it turns out, doesn't always need a mind to make a good choice. It challenges our anthropocentric definition of intelligence, showing that sophisticated problem-solving can emerge from distributed, non-neural systems through evolutionary optimization.
It's a truly decentralized intelligence, and the pistol shrimp with a specialized claw that snaps shut with such force it creates a bubble, generating sound, heat, and even a tiny flash of light. It's a biological marvel.
This is a phenomenon called cavitation. When that bubble collapses, the temperatures inside briefly reach thousands of degrees, though only in a tiny space. The shrimp itself is unharmed, protected by a hard exoskeleton and an evolutionary design that converts muscle power into explosive force.
It's a reminder that evolution can turn simple parts, like a claw, into high-speed tools of astonishing precision, almost like a biological sonic weapon.
Exactly. It's an incredible example of biomechanical engineering, where a common biological structure is repurposed and refined to generate an extreme physical effect, demonstrating the immense power and ingenuity of natural selection in designing specialized tools.
It's a tiny powerhouse, and giant pandas eating bamboo have evolved a sixth finger, not from a true digit, but from an enlarged wrist bone.
To grasp bamboo efficiently, pandas evolved this curious feature. This bone, the radial sesamoid, acts like a thumb, allowing them to hold and strip bamboo stalks with surprising dexterity. It's not a true finger, just a reworked part of the wrist.
But in evolutionary terms, it works just as well. Natural selection doesn't require elegance or anatomical purity, only that the structure helps the animal survive and thrive.
Precisely. It's a classic example of an exaptation, where an existing bone is co-opted and modified for a new function. It demonstrates the pragmatic nature of evolution, which often finds solutions by modifying existing structures rather than inventing entirely new ones.
It's a truly ingenious workaround, and tardigrades or water bears, famous for their extreme survival abilities, may have acquired some of their DNA through horizontal gene transfer from bacteria.
Tardigrades can withstand radiation, freezing, boiling, and the vacuum of space. One possible reason for this toughness lies in their genome. Studies suggest they may have acquired a portion of their DNA through horizontal gene transfer, meaning genes entered their genome from bacteria or other organisms.
This process is rare in animals but common in microbes. If confirmed, it would suggest that evolution can sometimes cross species boundaries at the genetic level, blurring the line between inheritance and absorption.
Exactly. It's a controversial but fascinating hypothesis that challenges our traditional understanding of vertical gene inheritance. It suggests that life's evolutionary toolkit might be far more interconnected and shared than previously thought, especially in extremophiles.
It's a radical idea for complex organisms, and in many songbirds, the beautiful, complex songs we hear are not hardwired at birth. Young birds must listen, imitate, and practice, similar to human language development.
This ability, known as vocal learning, is rare in the animal world and shares surprising parallels with human language development. If raised in isolation, young birds never learn the full version of the song, highlighting the critical role of social learning.
So, evolution crafted the bird brain to be plastic, flexible, adaptive, and responsive to sound. What begins as chirping becomes music, passed down not by genes, but by culture.
Precisely. It demonstrates a form of cultural transmission and learning that parallels human linguistic development, even though the neural circuits are different. It emphasizes the adaptive advantages of flexible communication in social species.
It's a beautiful example of learned behavior shaping evolution. And now, perhaps the most startling fact of all, the jellyfish Turritopsis dohrnii, capable of reverting its cells to an earlier developmental stage, effectively starting its life over.
This process, called transdifferentiation, allows adult cells to transform into different types, essentially rolling back biological time. The jellyfish returns to its polyp stage, anchored to a surface and capable of growing into a new adult. This cycle can repeat indefinitely,
Earning it the nickname the immortal jellyfish. It's not true immortality as they can still die, but evolution gave them a loophole in aging that no vertebrate has ever matched.
Exactly. It's a breathtaking demonstration of developmental plasticity and a unique evolutionary strategy to escape senescence. It fundamentally challenges our understanding of aging and regeneration, making this tiny jellyfish one of the most remarkable organisms on Earth.
It really is like something out of science fiction. And back to humans, the tiny band of muscle behind our ear that does nothing, but still twitches in some individuals, is a vestige from earlier mammalian ancestors.
That's right. In animals like cats or deer, these muscles are still fully functional, allowing them to swivel their ears like radar dishes, tracking predators or prey. In us, they remain only as dormant wiring.
So it's a faint anatomical memory of a more alert and animal-like past. Evolution doesn't always delete old functions. Sometimes it just lets them fade into silence.
Precisely, it's a classic vestigial structure, a minor quirk that imposes no significant cost, so it persists as a quiet echo of our mammalian heritage, linking us directly to our furry, ear-swiveling ancestors.
It's a gentle reminder of where we came from. And in spotted hyenas, females have developed a reproductive anatomy that closely resembles the males, a trait known as a pseudopenis.
This structure is used for urination, mating, and even giving birth. The reason is likely hormonal. Female hyenas are exposed to unusually high levels of androgens during development, which enhance aggression and social dominance.
In their matriarchal society, females are larger, stronger, and higher ranking than males. So the pseudopenis is not just a curiosity, it's part of a complex evolutionary trade-off.
Absolutely. It's a dramatic example of how hormonal influences can drive profound morphological changes, shaping social behavior, reproductive cost, and physical form in surprising ways, demonstrating the intertwined nature of biology and behavior.
It's a powerful and extreme adaptation. And in the perpetual darkness of caves, many beetle species have evolved in reverse, shedding traits like wings and eyes that are no longer useful.
Over generations, energy that once went toward vision and flight is redirected to other senses like touch and smell. This process is called regressive evolution, and it's common in isolated, resource-limited environments.
So it doesn't make the animal less evolved, just more specialized. In caves, blindness is not a defect, it's an advantage.
Precisely, it's an optimization. The loss of complex structures frees up metabolic resources for other adaptations more critical for survival in their specific niche. It's a powerful example of how evolution can simplify rather than complicate, depending on the environment.
It's a compelling argument for parsimony. And while humans can heal cuts and fractures, some salamanders can do far more, regenerating entire limbs, including bones, muscles, nerves, and skin.
If a leg is lost to a predator, it grows back over weeks or months, often perfectly functional. This ability comes from specialized cells that return to a stem-like state, capable of rebuilding complex structures.
So, evolution preserved this trait in certain amphibians, but lost it in most vertebrates, including us. Scientists are now studying salamanders to understand if these secrets of regeneration could one day be unlocked in ourselves.
Exactly. For them, it's simply biology, ancient, elegant, and routine. It highlights a lost capacity in many lineages and underscores the potential for understanding fundamental biological processes that could have profound implications for regenerative medicine.
It's a humbling reminder of what nature is capable of. For most of the 20th century, the coelacanth was known only from fossils, a lobe-finned fish believed to have vanished with the dinosaurs.
Then in 1938, a living specimen was pulled from the waters of South Africa. It was an evolutionary Lazarus, a species unchanged for hundreds of millions of years, surviving in deep, cold oceans where little else lives.
Its fins resemble proto-limbs, offering clues about how fish may have first walked onto land. The discovery of a living coelacanth didn't rewrite evolution, it confirmed it.
Precisely. It showed how ancient lineages can endure far beyond what we imagine, demonstrating that some body plans are so successful and stable that they persist largely unchanged for immense periods of geological time. It's a living link to a deep evolutionary past.
It's a beautiful example of evolutionary stasis. And pufferfish, best known for their ability to inflate, have a most important evolutionary tool in their fused beak-like teeth.
These powerful, fused teeth allow pufferfish to crush the hard shells of snails, clams, and crustaceans. Over time, their jaws adapted not just for biting, but for grinding, turning them into living nutcrackers.
This dental fusion is so effective that pufferfish can even break apart coral. The beak is not made from new bones, but from the reshaping and merging of existing teeth.
Exactly. It's a subtle evolutionary edit that turned a simple mouth into a precision tool for a specialized, hard-shelled diet. It exemplifies how existing structures can be highly modified to create entirely new and efficient feeding apparatuses.
It's an amazing dental innovation, and termites and ruminants like cows have evolved a similar method for digesting tough plant material, symbiosis with microbes.
Both groups house vast communities of bacteria and protozoa in specialized gut chambers, which break down cellulose into usable energy. In termites, this occurs in the hindgut. In cows, it begins in the multi-chambered stomach.
So the process allows both animals to thrive on food that most creatures can't digest. It's an evolutionary alliance, two species co-evolving together, turning grass and wood into nourishment through ancient cooperation.
Precisely. It's a powerful example of mutualistic coevolution, where highly specialized microbial communities enable their hosts to exploit otherwise indigestible food sources, transforming ecological challenges into nutritional opportunities.
It's a fascinating collaboration, and in some deep-sea anglerfish species, males are tiny compared to females, and their partnership has gone to an extreme, with the male fusing onto the female's body.
When a male finds a mate in the vast, dark ocean, he latches onto her body with his teeth. Over time, their tissues fuse and his organs dissolve, except for the testes, which remain to supply sperm. He becomes a living appendage, permanently attached, nourished by her bloodstream.
This bizarre form of reproductive fusion evolved in an environment where finding a mate is incredibly rare. By eliminating separation, evolution solved the problem of distance.
Exactly. It creates a union that is equal parts grotesque and efficient. It's an extreme solution to the challenge of reproduction in a sparsely populated environment, showcasing the incredible lengths to which evolution will go to ensure the continuation of a species.
It's a truly alien kind of intimacy. And in shallow tropical reefs, some corals glow with brilliant fluorescent colors, not just for decoration, but as a kind of sunscreen.
This glow is incredibly functional. It serves as a kind of sunscreen, protecting the coral and its symbiotic algae from intense ultraviolet radiation. The fluorescence redirects harmful light into safer wavelengths, allowing photosynthesis to continue without damage.
These pigments evolved independently in different coral species, tailored to specific depths and light conditions. So evolution working at the molecular level created a living shield, turning sunlight into color and color into survival.
Precisely, it's a beautiful example of photoprotection, where complex biochemical pathways are harnessed to mitigate environmental stress. It highlights the intricate molecular adaptations that allow organisms to thrive in challenging light environments.
It's a vibrant defense mechanism, and though one roams the land and the other rules the sea, hippos and whales share a surprising evolutionary connection.
Genetic and fossil evidence places them both within a group called Artiodactyla, the even-toed ungulates. Their last common ancestor lived around 55 million years ago and likely resembled a semi-aquatic, pig-sized animal with hooves and a fondness for water.
So, over time, one lineage returned fully to the ocean and became cetaceans, while the other stayed in the wetlands and became modern hippos. Evolution's relationships are often hidden beneath the surface.
Exactly. It's a remarkable divergence from a common ancestor, showcasing how dramatically two lineages can evolve when facing different ecological pressures. It reinforces the idea that shared history, not just superficial appearance, defines evolutionary relationships.
It challenges our visual assumptions about relatedness. And one of the most persistent myths about evolution is that it lacks transitional fossils, but the truth is the opposite.
Indeed, from fish with protolimbs to early birds with teeth and claws, paleontologists have uncovered an extraordinary record of forms that blur the boundaries between major groups. Fossils like Tiktaalik, Archaeopteryx, and Ardipithecus each capture a moment of transformation.
They are not missing links, but well-documented branches on the tree of life. Evolution doesn't work in leaps, it works in small, steady steps and in the layers of stone beneath our feet. Those steps are recorded in bone.
Precisely, these transitional forms provide crucial empirical evidence for gradual evolutionary change, beautifully illustrating the step-by-step modification of organisms over vast periods of time. The fossil record is a rich archive of these transformations.
It's a continuously unfolding story in stone. And while evolution is often described as gradual, the fossil record also shows that species sometimes remain relatively unchanged for long periods, followed by brief intervals of rapid transformation. This pattern is called punctuated equilibrium.
This theory suggests that most evolutionary change occurs in isolated populations over short geological timescales, often triggered by environmental shifts, migration, or new ecological niches. These bursts leave distinct signatures in the fossil record.
So, new species appear suddenly rather than emerging smoothly. Evolution doesn't always flow like a river. Sometimes it leaps like a spark.
Exactly. It's a more dynamic view of evolutionary change, accounting for periods of relative stasis interspersed with rapid diversification. It highlights the importance of specific environmental triggers in accelerating the pace of evolution.
It's a more nuanced understanding of tempo, and in the icy waters of the Arctic and Antarctic, several fish species have evolved special proteins that prevent their blood from freezing.
These antifreeze proteins bind to ice crystals and stop them from growing. Remarkably, Arctic cod and Antarctic notothenioids evolve these proteins independently, using entirely different genetic starting points.
So, two separate solutions to the same lethal problem. When water dips below zero, survival depends not on strength or speed, but on biochemistry. And in these fish, evolution answered the cold with molecular ingenuity.
Precisely, it's a stunning example of convergent molecular evolution, where similar adaptive solutions are found at the biochemical level through different genetic pathways. It demonstrates the creative power of natural selection in overcoming extreme environmental challenges.
It's a biological marvel of cryoprotection, And though modern snakes are legless, their genomes still contain remnants of the genes responsible for limb development.
In pythons and boas, tiny vestigial hind limb bones called pelvic spurs can still be found near the tail. These are not functional legs, but they are evolutionary ghosts. Embryonic snakes even begin to form limb buds before the process is halted.
And genetic studies have shown that the loss of legs was not due to a single mutation, but a gradual accumulation of changes that shut down the limb-building program. The blueprints are still there, filed away, unused.
Exactly. It's another powerful example of how evolution often modifies existing developmental pathways rather than erasing them entirely. The lingering genetic code tells a clear story of a terrestrial, legged ancestor.
It's a genetic echo of a lost past, and over millions of years, retroviruses have inserted their genetic material into the DNA of our ancestors, with some of it remaining there today.
Roughly 8% of the human genome is made of viral sequences, passed down through generations like genetic fossils. Most are no longer active, but a few may still influence how our genes are expressed.
These fragments, called endogenous retroviruses, are a record of ancient infections that shaped our evolutionary past. So evolution isn't just about adaptation and survival, it's also about the traces of ancient battles written into the code of life itself.
Precisely. These viral remnants are a testament to the dynamic interplay between hosts and pathogens, and how even parasitic elements can become integrated and sometimes repurposed within the host genome, leaving a permanent mark on evolutionary history.
It's a viral archaeology within our own DNA, and the bones of your hand, the radius, ulna, wrist, and fingers evolved from the fin structures of ancient lobe-finned fish.
Fossils like Tiktaalik show the transition clearly, with jointed fins that could support weight and allow motion in shallow water. Over time, these bones were reshaped into limbs capable of walking on land.
And genetic studies confirm the same developmental genes pattern both fish fins and human hands. So evolution didn't start from scratch, it modified an existing framework. Every time you move your fingers, you're using tools shaped by a lineage that once swam through ancient seas.
Exactly. It's a beautiful example of homologous structures, demonstrating that our limbs are fundamentally modified fins. It's a direct, unbroken lineage of anatomical transformation, showcasing the deep conservation of developmental pathways across vast evolutionary time.
It's incredible to think of our hands as repurposed fins, and feathers, often associated with flight, did not originate for flying. They had other purposes first.
Early feathered dinosaurs likely used them for insulation, camouflage, or display long before any creature took to the air. Fossils show that primitive feathers appeared in small theropod dinosaurs, some of which had elaborate plumage but no clear adaptations for flight.
Only later did feathers become refined for gliding and powered flight in birds. So evolution often co-opts existing features for new purposes, a process known as exaptation.
Precisely. What began as warmth became lift. What once decorated the body became wings. It's a powerful example of how traits can acquire new functions over evolutionary time, demonstrating the opportunistic and incremental nature of natural selection.
It's a wonderful flexibility in design. And though often considered weaker than in other animals, the human sense of smell is still remarkably sensitive.
We can detect over 1 trillion different scents thanks to a vast family of olfactory receptor genes, many inherited and modified across millions of years. These genes originated early in vertebrate evolution, when smell played a central role in survival, navigation, and communication.
In humans, many of these genes have been deactivated, but the ones that remain are still potent. So evolution didn't remove our ability to smell, it simply tuned it for a different world.
Exactly. It's a shift in sensory priorities. While vision took center stage for us, our olfactory system remains a powerful, if often subconscious, link to our ancient sensory past, demonstrating the specialization and reallocation of sensory resources over evolutionary time.
It's a subtle but powerful connection to our origins. And leaf insects, with their extraordinary camouflage, not only resemble leaves, but some even mimic insect-chewed holes.
Their legs look like stems. Their bodies sway gently like foliage in the wind. and their coloration can match the exact hue of surrounding plants. This level of detail evolved through countless generations of natural selection, where those that best resembled inedible leaves were most likely to survive.
It's an illusion so complete that even predators struggle to distinguish life from plant matter. Evolution in this case became an artist, creating a perfect mimicry.
Precisely. It's a stunning example of crypsis, or blending into the background, driven by intense predator-prey pressures. It showcases the incredible sophistication that natural selection can achieve in creating highly effective forms of disguise.
It's a masterclass in biological illusion, and evolution didn't stop with the invention of agriculture or language or cities. It continues in subtle ways today.
Genes related to lactose tolerance, high-altitude survival, disease resistance, and even brain structure have all changed in human populations within the last 10,000 years. In some regions, natural selection has favored people with thicker bones, better heat tolerance, or altered metabolism.
So cultural changes create new pressures and new directions for evolution to explore. We are not a finished product, we are part of a living process, changing still, just more quietly than before.
Exactly. It dispels the myth that human evolution has ceased. We are constantly adapting to our changing environments and lifestyles, demonstrating that evolution is an ongoing, dynamic process that continues to shape our species.
It's a powerful reminder that we're still on the journey. And the turtle shell, not an external structure like armor, but built from the animal's own skeleton.
The broad, fused plates that form the shell are modified ribs and vertebrae that curve outward and then harden. This unique adaptation evolved gradually, with fossil evidence showing transitional forms that had partially expanded ribs but no full shell.
So the result is an animal whose body is shaped like its fortress. Evolution didn't add something new, it folded what was already there into a living shield. The turtle carries its skeleton on the outside.
Precisely. It's an extraordinary example of skeletal modification, showing how existing bones can be dramatically repurposed to create a completely novel and highly protective structure. It's a testament to the versatility of the vertebrate skeleton.
It's a beautiful example of internal transformation. And milk, the defining trait of mammals, may have evolved before mammals gave birth to live young.
In early mammalian ancestors, milk may have served not just as food, but as a way to keep eggs moist and protect them from infection. Over time, it became more nutrient-rich and eventually replaced the egg entirely.
Even monotremes, mammals like the platypus and echidna that still lay eggs, produce milk to nourish their young. This evolutionary sequence shows how one adaptation can shift in function.
Exactly. What began as moisture became sustenance, and eventually a defining trait of an entire class of life. It highlights how existing secretions can be co-opted and refined for completely new and complex biological functions.
It's a fundamental shift in parental care. And unlike most bones in the body, the human chin has no obvious mechanical or structural role. It's a small anatomical mystery.
It doesn't help with chewing or speech, and other primates do just fine without it. Yet every modern human has one. Some scientists believe the chin is a byproduct of shrinking jaw size during evolution.
A remnant left behind as our faces became flatter and less robust. Others suggest it may play a role in sexual selection or facial structure. Whatever its origin, the chin is a reminder that not every feature is the result of purposeful design. Some are just leftovers that never went away.
Precisely. It's a fascinating example of a potentially non-adaptive or vestigial trait, highlighting the complex and sometimes accidental pathways of evolutionary change, where not every feature needs a direct functional explanation.
It's a charming quirk, our chin, and when we feel cold or afraid, tiny muscles at the base of each hair follicle contract, causing goosebumps. In humans, with our mostly hairless skin, the effect is nearly useless.
In animals with thick fur, this reflex fluffs up the coat for insulation or makes the animal appear larger to predators. But in humans, it's a phantom signal from a past we no longer live in.
Goosebumps are an evolutionary relic, a physical echo of a time when our ancestors relied on fur to stay warm, and fear raised their hair like armor.
Exactly. It's a clear vestigial reflex, demonstrating the persistence of ancient physiological responses long after their original adaptive value has diminished. It's a direct connection to our furry mammalian past.
A very visceral connection, and members of the corvid family, crows, ravens, and jays, have evolved exceptional cognitive abilities, using tools, solving puzzles, and recognizing faces.
Their brains are structured differently from those of mammals, yet they exhibit many of the same intelligent behaviors found in apes and dolphins. This is convergent evolution at the level of cognition.
So intelligence, it turns out, is not tied to one shape or species. It can emerge wherever the pressures for problem solving and memory are strong enough.
Precisely. It challenges our mammalian-centric view of intelligence, showcasing that vastly different neural architectures can evolve similar mental capabilities when facing analogous cognitive demands. It highlights the diverse pathways to complex thought.
It's a truly humbling lesson in animal intelligence. And flightlessness has evolved many times in birds. Ostriches, emus, kiwis, rheas, and penguins, among others.
Often this happens on islands or in predator-free environments where the energy cost of flight outweighs its benefits. Once grounded, these birds often evolve powerful legs for running or swimming instead.
So the wings shrink, the breastbone flattens, and the body shifts toward balance and speed. Flight, though remarkable, is not always necessary. And in the right setting, evolution takes it away, not as a loss, but as a shift in focus.
Exactly. It's a powerful example of evolutionary trade-offs and adaptive radiation, where a once essential trait is lost when it becomes disadvantageous or energetically costly, leading to new forms of specialization on land or sea.
It's a reminder that evolution is always optimizing. And compared to other primates, the human brain is an evolutionary outlier, especially the neocortex, where reasoning, language, and imagination live.
In less than 3 million years, our ancestors went from chimp-sized brains to the massive, energy-hungry organ we carry today. This rapid expansion may have been driven by many forces: tool use, social complexity, environmental challenges, or language.
Whatever the cause, the result is a brain that consumes 20% of our resting energy and gives rise to art, technology, and science. Evolution doesn't always move slowly. Sometimes it races ahead.
Precisely. It's an extraordinary example of accelerated evolution, a burst of rapid neurological change that has profound implications for our understanding of human uniqueness and the adaptive pressures that drove such a remarkable transformation.
It's a fascinating acceleration of change, and our ancestors had larger jaws and more teeth, including wisdom teeth, which helped grind tough, raw foods long before cooking in agriculture.
But as our diets changed and our faces grew smaller, there was no longer room for those extra teeth. Today, many people have them removed or never develop them at all.
In some populations, the gene for wisdom teeth is slowly being lost. They are a reminder of a chewing-intensive past, one that modern jaws no longer accommodate. Evolution continues, one dental appointment at a time.
Exactly. It's a clear example of ongoing human evolution, where dietary and lifestyle changes drive the gradual reduction and eventual loss of structures that are no longer adaptive or have become detrimental. It's a microevolutionary process playing out in real time.
It's a constant, quiet evolution. And ultimately, Mia, our bodies are not the product of a single plan. They're a patchwork of adaptations layered over deep time.
Precisely. Your spine is a modified fish skeleton. Your hands are repurposed fins. Your lungs evolved from air bladders. Even your hiccups may be echoes of an amphibian past. Every part of you carries stories from organisms long extinct.
Each cell and structure sculpted by ancient pressures, environments, and accidents. We are not separate from the tree of life. We are a branch on it, still growing, still changing, a living mosaic of everything that came before. It's an incredible story.
It truly is, Finn. This collection of evolutionary insights, from the smallest genetic whisper to the grandest anatomical transformation, paints a vivid picture of life's relentless adaptability. It teaches us that to understand ourselves, we must understand the billions of years of trial, error, and magnificent repurposing that brought us here.
And so, across oceans and forests, deserts and genomes, we've wandered through 100 quiet glimpses of how life shapes itself, slowly, strangely, and always in motion. Evolution is not just about fossils and stone. It's written in feathers, fingers, instincts, and quiet anatomical echoes. It lives in the curve of your spine, the muscles in your jaw, the rhythm of your breath. Even now, the process continues in bacteria beneath glaciers, in birds shifting their songs, in the quiet inheritance of genes passed from one generation to the next. Nothing stands still, not even us. If you found this journey through evolutionary wonders insightful, consider sharing it with someone who might also appreciate seeing the deep history hidden within us all.